Yesterday we spoke about watering the good seeds in us. We have a list of 51 mental formations. The Dharma teachers of Plum Village can provide you with a list of these mental formations. Formation is a technical term. Anything is a formation, like a flower. Many non-flower elements have come together and help the flower to manifest as a flower. So a flower is a formation, is a physical formation. My hand is a physiological formation. My anger is a mental formation. And the practitioner is capable of recognizing a mental formation when it arises. If the mental formation called jealousy is coming up, you say, "Hello there, I know your name. You are jealousy. I will take good care of you." So it's good to have the list of the mental formations. When I was a student at the Buddhist Institute, we had to learn, memorize these, the names of all these mental formations so that we can recognize them every time they come up. Mindfulness is a mental formation. Everyone has a seed of mindfulness. And if we practice diligently, and then the grain, and then the seed of mindfulness in us will grow bigger and bigger. And anytime we need that energy of mindfulness, we just touch it, and we have plenty of it in order to make use. And we know that mindfulness has the power, has the capacity to allow us to know what is going on. Going on in our body, going on in our feelings, going on in our mind, and going on in the world. So mindfulness has 4 objects. The first object of mindfulness is body. And we have 4 exercises on mindful breathing in order to take care of our body. And then we have the realm of feelings. And we have another set of 4 to take care of our feelings and emotions. And the third object of our mindfulness is the mind. The mind means the mental formation. The mind is kind of a river, and the mental formations are drops of water, succeeding each other and make a stream. So to meditate means to sit on the river of the mind and recognize every mental formation as it arises. This is to be aware of our in-breath and out-breath. This is to follow our in-breath and out-breath. This is to be aware of our body. This is to calm our body. This is to generate the joy. This is to generate happiness. This is to be aware of the painful feeling or emotion. And this is to calm down the painful feeling and emotion. So mindfulness has the body as the first object, feelings as the second object, and mind as the third object. And the ninth exercise is to be aware of each mental formation as it is arise. Simple recognition, simple awareness, no attempt to fight or to grasp. No grasping, no fighting. Just allow the mental formation to be there and recognize it. Hello, fear. I know you are there. I will take good care of you. So it is useful to have a list of mental formations so that you can recognize them easily, calling them by their true names. And the tenth exercise of mindful breathing is to make the landscape of the mind consciousness beautiful, happy. Yesterday, we have seen that consciousness has at least 2 layers, and the lower layer is store consciousness. And there are good, wholesome seeds down here, and among them, the seed of mindfulness, the seed of concentration, the seed of insight, the seed of understanding, love, non-violent, joy, happiness, and so on. So the practice of the 10th exercise is to help, is to invite these wholesome seeds to manifest. The seed of mindfulness, the seed of concentration, the seed of insight, the seed of understanding, love, compassion. There are many good seeds in us. And if we want to be happy, we should learn the art of happiness, watering the good seeds in us. When we come to a retreat like this, we have a chance to water the good seeds. Everything we hear, we see, have the function to water the good seeds in us. And that is to gladden our mind, to make the landscape of mind beautiful. So the first aspect of the practice is to give these beautiful seeds a chance to manifest. If they manifest on the upper of our level of our consciousness, we are happy, we are joyful. So a good practitioner knows how to water the wholesome seeds in him or in her every day. She has to select. Because when you read a magazine, an article in a magazine, that article may contain a lot of anger, frustration, or fear. And while you are reading that article, you water the unwholesome seed. They come up and you suffer. So you have to be selective. in watering. You try to read only, you try to view only the things that water the good seeds in you. And this we can discuss with our children and students, because many of us are intoxicating ourselves every day by unmindful consumption. Even conversation can be very toxic. The other person may talk to us for 1 hour, and what she says is full of anger and fear and despair. And if we listen like that, we water those unwholesome seeds in us, and we get sick. And if you are a psychotherapist, protect yourself. Because every day you listen to stories of suffering. You have to establish a balance. You have to go to the Sangha, you have to water the good seeds in you, otherwise you cannot continue for a long time. So the good practitioner knows how to water the good seeds and give them a chance to manifest up here on the level of mind consciousness. And she's happy, she's pleasant, and her partner will enjoy that. And the practitioner also knows how to help the other person to do the same. Darling, if you care, you really care for me, don't water the negative seed in me. You know that I have the seed of anger, fear, jealousy, and so on. And if you water these seeds, I will suffer. And if I suffer, you have to suffer with me. So darling, I promise that I will not water these negative seeds in me. And you have to make the same commitment. You do not water these unwholesome seeds in you. And I make the commitment not to water them in you. And you make the commitment not to water this unwholesome seed in me. This is a peace treaty you sign with your partner. And the first step of the practice is called the practice of selective watering, or the practice of true diligence, is not to give the negative seeds down here a chance. Allow them to sleep quietly down there. If you do love me, please don't water these seeds in me. And I promise that I will not water these unwholesome seeds in you. And the second aspect of the practice is that if by chance, if it happens that one negative seed is water and manifests here as a mental formation, you should know how to help that to go back to its place of origin as quickly as possible. You don't try to suppress. There are many ways. The first way is to invite the seed of mindfulness to come, to recognize, embrace. And after a few minutes, it will lose some of its strength and it will go back to the original place here. That is the first method, helping that seed to go back as quickly as possible by the way of recognizing and embracing. This we have talked about yesterday already. The second way is to invite the opposite seed in here to come up. Because you have a seed of anger, of violence, but you also have a seed of tenderness, kindness. And when the seed of tenderness and kindness and compassion is invited to come up, their seed will withdraw by itself. It's like a television set with several channels, and up to you to choose. Channel 1 or channel 2. Hell or paradise, up to you to choose. Just push on a button. So the first aspect is that the negative seed down here, don't give them a chance in yourself and in the other person. And the second aspect is that if one of them happen to manifest here, try to help it to go back as soon as possible. Because the longer it is up here, the bigger it will grow down here at the grassroots level. People who are very angry. But 10 years ago, they were not angry like that. Because the seed of anger in him has been watered every day by himself and by his friends. So that is why not to water the negative seed is a practice. And we have to agree with our partner. Our partner may be our father, our mother, our son, our daughter, our friend. And then the third aspect of the practice is to recognize the good seeds in you and invite them as frequently as possible. Because their presence in the level of mind consciousness will bring you joy, happiness, for gladdening our mind. The 10th and when a good seed has manifest up here, we may like to keep it up there as long as possible. May the joy last, que la joie demeure. It's like when you have a good friend visiting, you like to keep him or her longer with you. The same thing is true with this. If a feeling of joy, feeling of happiness, a feeling of compassion has manifest, try to keep that feeling up there as long as you can. Because the longer they remain here, the bigger they will grow down there. At the grassroots level, the good seed will continue to grow. It's like when we come to a retreat of 1 week, some of the good seeds are water, and if we have the retreat extended to 2 weeks, and then the good seeds will grow bigger. So these are 4 levels or 4 aspects of the practice. The negative seeds, don't give them a chance. In me and in you. If they have already a chance to manifest, help them to go home as quickly as possible. The good seed, give them a plenty of chance to manifest. And when they have manifest, keep them up there as long as possible. And that is what we call in Plum Village the practice of selective watering. And you can change the situation very quickly. Even 1 hour of practice can already change the situation.